Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. The title of this episode is The Sacred Wealth Code and Achieving Your Highest Purpose. In this episode, we are speaking with Prema, who is a leading Vedic astrologer, business oracle, and award-winning author and creator of your Sacred Wealth Code book, Oracle Cards, and Journal. Unlock your soul blueprint to purpose and prosperity. Using the ancient science of Vedic astrology and her gift of intuition, she guides conscious visionaries and entrepreneurs to activate their divine gifts and align with their sacred wealth code so that you can unlock their soul blueprint and purpose and prosperity. It is such an honor to have you on. I'm really excited about this episode. Can you give the audience a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, well, that's a huge question. I'm thrilled to be here. And I have been on the road to, living my purpose and helping others to do that in lots of different ways over the years. And the Sacred Wealth Code really is something that came through me by my own life experience about 15 to 18 years ago after owning a yoga and healing art center, just a big, beautiful state-of-the-art center. This is when, before we had all this live streamed, and that was my dream, was to stream classes from my center, but that meant going to a TV station at that time. And so I'm dating myself a little bit, but the reason I say this is because I've always felt like I've been a little bit ahead of my time. And many of you probably listening in probably feel that, because sometimes you feel like, okay, well, where do I really belong? Or am I really on my purpose? So my center was a six-figure in sales type business, but not enough of it was coming to me. And I was really trying to crack the code of that and figure that out. I was wearing a lot of hats, I was running a business, training teachers. I had my own yoga training program, healing practitioners, and then doing my Vedic astrology intuitive work. And it just came to a point about 5 years in where I just couldn't keep it afloat. My marriage dissolved during that time, couldn't sell it, couldn't bring in a partner. Like everything was like almost happening that it would fall out. And I was just doing my clearing work, and I was doing everything I thought practically and spiritually to make this fly, because I really felt like I was on purpose. And I'm sure those of you listening in, there's times when you felt like you're on purpose, but then you question it because the world isn't reflecting that back to you. I was there. And then I ended up really in the dark night of my soul when I just kept being told, let it go. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to clear another belief or whatever. And it was no, like I would open the door like at 6:30 in the morning to do a class one morning. And I just was like a 2x4. No, you have to let this center go. And this is a big, beautiful, wonderful community and center. That was a hard hit because I was like, wow, what do you mean? I've worked so hard for all of this, but I did let it go. I let the business dissolve. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I knew I would continue to teach and such, but I took some time to stay on my knees, so to speak, as we are in the dark night of the soul. And the dark night of the soul is when there's nowhere else to turn outside of yourself, and the only way to turn is inside. That's where the information is. So we need to give ourselves the time with that. And as I dug into my, the astrology, as I dug into my beliefs, and I really saw that what the Sacred Wealth Code really was, it's where your purpose and prosperity planets come together, or the way they're placed. And that's a scientific principle. And I knew that. But as I really dug in there, I thought, oh, this is where our highest value gifts are. The ones when we use them, the world responds back to us. And I was in part of the shadow side of part of my wealth code. And that's normal. Okay. We all have some shadow we have to work through, but I was not on purpose in my gifts enough. So I was wasting energetic currency doing things that were not mine to do. So I didn't have enough of my energetic currency to really be in my purpose. So I switched everything around. I went into private practice. I started doing online clients and very high, smaller groups that were more private. And within 6 months, being a single parent, a couple of teenagers, I was able to turn my business around, turn my income around, and it has just escalated from there. And I've been able to actually touch a lot more people which has also been really wonderful. And eventually the Sacred Wealth Code readings and book and journal and cards came to be, so that I could, all my work comes down to being very practical, so I could help other people tap into their highest value gifts, use them, understand what their purpose is, that will really lead them to their unique prosperity, because it's very different for each and every one of us what really is wealth and prosperity.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why I love this topic, is because we're all so unique. All of our planets align differently. And it is important to understand, what your energetic, DNA is, like, where will you thrive, your shadow side. It's important to even understand your shadow side. And so how can we start decoding our energetic blocks to gain clarity on our path for our life purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, you can just notice, where are the roadblocks in your life? Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's causing you to contract? What's not flowing forward in the way that you want it to? And you want to warm up to your shadow, because it's really, think of it this way. Part of your gifts are locked up in your shadow. It's energetic currency. Say you only have $100 worth of energetic currency in a day, and you're using that to do your work. You're using that to take care of yourself or your family or whatever you're doing, but you're also financing the fears you know about. You're financing the fears that you don't know about. You're financing relationships. We only have so much energetic currency. Mm-hmm. Our shadow, we can't really see in the shadows. But those are the parts of us that are sucking energetic currency. That's where your fears are. That's where your negative beliefs, those all lead you to your shadow. And instead of thinking that's wrong or bad, or here I am again, I want you to get curious, because this is a part of yourself, and think of it as a younger part of yourself that's been hurt in some way. And like when a kid, you're going on a walk and the kid stubs a toe, and you don't just yell at it. Maybe some people do, but hurry up. You got to go back. You got to put your arm around it, maybe give it a piggyback ride for a little while. You've got to find out what's going on. So you want to journal. I use a lot of clearing processes with my clients in my programs. You want to journal and have ways to go internally to find out, what are the beliefs that are really driving me to act this way or have this fear. Mm-hmm. Get inquisitive and get curious. Think of it this way. If you are someone who's listening in that works with clients, the way you'd be inquisitive with the client, the way you'd be inquisitive with a child, like, find out what's really going on here, what you believe is really going on. And with the Sacred Wealth Code, one of the beautiful things as it developed, there was a body of archetypes that showed up. And so instead of me just saying, okay, you're a really great teacher, but you have a way of teaching that's very inspiring, and you can give people a big vision, or someone else, you're really practical, or you're a great problem solver. Well, as the archetypes came in, like, there's the archetype of the teacher. And when I say teacher to you and everyone else listening in, for each one of us, a unique story opens up that we can personally relate to. But depicted in the Sacred Wealth Code, whether it's the Sacred Wealth Code cards or in the book or the journal, the gifts are listed there, but also the shadow that's typically listed typically goes along with that archetype. So it really helps you to laser in and go, people tell me this all the time. This is so great. I really saw some of my gifts, but I see, I'm a total people pleaser, which is the shadow side of the connector. I'm an overgiver, shadow side of the great nurturer. So that helps you. The archetypes are really useful to help you to understand the gift that's in that shadow. And I have ways to break through that. And even in my book, I give a process to break through that.
It's what clicked in my head is, life is about learning. And this is what helps teach us, like, our soul purpose in life is, yes, God gave us these gifts, but he's also going to give us the shadow so that we can work towards it, because it's our soul's contract to learn these lessons. And once we get past, like, the barrier of that lesson, it's just fruitfulness for you, for what you want and whatever you're trying to achieve, which looks different for everyone. And like you said, we're not all from the same box. There's hundreds of different boxes, and, we're all different. We all have different desires, gifts, beliefs. And it really breaks it down for me in thinking, it's just life's a journey, life's a lesson, and it sounds easy, but it's actually really hard to go through and break those shadow barriers.
Well, you want to have a system or a process to be able to do that. The other thing to say that's really practical is like looking back, and I'm all about practicality. So that's why I don't just do readings I'm an intuitive, I do readings, I do that, but I teach people to really connect with their heart and trust themselves and trust and get to their own intuition, how to clear their blocks and barriers, and then get on with practical action so we can integrate and embody what it is that we're learning and knowing. But if you think back, everyone think back of a challenge you had, whether it was in the last month or the last 20 years, that you can now see the blessing from. We've all got those. I can see the blessing from losing my yoga center and a lot of money. So whatever you're going through now, wherever the challenge is in your life, that's where you potentially have some shadow going on. You want to lean into that with the mindset of, there is a blessing in that. And instead of shying away from it, I want to get curious and I want to find out what that is. So that's what, the challenges are. I look at your soul blueprint. When I'm looking at a Vedic astrology chart, it's your soul blueprint. And I look at it as the soul choices that you made, which includes your challenges, because we do need to, in this dimension of 3D reality, we do need to sort of work with things, in order to understand more about them. Because if we were just in our gifts, I guess, then maybe it wouldn't feel like there was somewhere to get to. And for whatever reason, this incarnation, we need to have that. We need to be able to, okay, all right, now I've got it now, or conquer the next thing. But hopefully also that you relax into the times where you can really lean back into your feminine and really just be open into receivership, because it isn't all about doing and pushing forward.
Hey friends, I hope you are enjoying this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. This podcast would not be possible if it wasn't for the support of you, my wonderful community. To support Your Mama's podcast, please click the support link right down below and you can donate just as little as 99 cents. Also, follow me in the Shop Like to Know It app, where you can follow me with all my exclusive content, all the way from baby products I love, fashion and style, and everything in between. Now let's get back to the episode. Yeah. So what are 3 ways to overcome the barriers and that prevent us from achieving, our highest and greatest good?
Yeah. So number 1 is you need to know what the barrier is, which is kind of what we've been talking about, right? So, and when you look at the challenge, you want to ask yourself, the first question you want to ask yourself is, what am I believing here? There is a belief that's driving whatever's going on here. What am I believing? Is it I'm not worthy? Is it I'm not good enough? Is it a belief that it's not even possible? Understand. And to do that, what I have people do is close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, take some breaths in and out through your heart. And let's just do it real quick.
Okay. I know. I was like, I should do this.
Yeah. And this process is my soul wisdom process is laid out, and it's in all of my products. Like there's a link to go and do this meditation. I'm going to do a very condensed version of this. Okay. But I promise, because I'm going to take you there, that we'll all go there. So unless you're driving, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart and take a deep, full breath. And take another deep, full breath in and out through your heart. We're just going to allow the heart to open up. And just by bringing our presence and our attention to our hearts, our heart has the opportunity to open. And let's remember, our heart is our connection with our soul. It's our connection to divinity itself. It's where we hear our deeper wisdom. It's where we're connected to the field of all possibilities. It's our center of truth. Now, your mind is an amazing tool, and imagine it like a diamond, but it is a very busy diamond, and it's going in a lot of directions. So we're going to drop that diamond of the mind down into the heart. And you can just take a deep breath, and I'll just energetically work with us. And I'm going to drop it down through your nasal cavity, the top of your throat, the base of your throat, top of your chest, right down into the very center of your chest. Take another deep, full breath. Landing in your heart space, your center of truth. I want to invite you to bring into your awareness a possible block or challenge that you're having currently. And we're going to use the backdoor question to the soul here. If I tell myself the truth, what is the belief that I'm having? What am I believing is really going on here? That's really not serving me, but what am I believing? So that's step one. Awareness precedes change. But let's go ahead and add step two. How is that holding me back? If I tell myself the truth, how is that holding me back? So we have to have the awareness and know. Second step is we have to get really real and truthful with ourselves and how we're being held back. And let's tune in for what's just one inspired action I could take that would support me in breaking through this belief. And it's just one step at a time. What's just one inspired action I could take? So take a deep breath with that. Trust the very first thing that came up. Take a moment and make a note of it, because you need to do that. This is your soul giving you guidance on what to do next. And if you're willing to be the guinea pig, we'll have you share.
Okay. So for me, it's, I'm not worthy, and what's blocking me, it's a limited belief. And in order for me to change that, the thing that came to my head was affirmations.
Okay, great. So affirmations can be wonderful. There's lots of ways to change. And let's remember, with an affirmation, we want to use it in a way we can only pick an affirmation that we 100% believe in, and then we can upgrade it over time. So it could be, I'm completely lovable and worthy of, whatever it is that you want to be worthy of, whether it's $1 million or whether it's, worthy of being, totally happy or whatever it is. But if you don't 100% believe that, you've got to kind of scale it back and just take it one step at a time. So just remember that about affirmations. And the next thing about affirmations is you have to feel what that would feel like. That's the big key. That's the energetic currency. So whatever came up for you, whether it's affirmations or whether it's taking a walk or calling somebody or reading something or, finding someone to actually, help you clear this. If you'll do that, what happens is that opens up the next choice. And if we are willing to take things presently one step at a time, the problem is the mind wants to know. And because the mind wants to know, the left brain is always creating things from the past. So it's going to look for something to recreate from the past. But what you're looking for is to break into something that's unknown. So we want to be able to, and this way we trust ourselves one step at a time. So you want to get inquisitive, you want to get quiet, you want to get with your soul. And then there's a lot of other different practices and such like I teach. And again, there's a great practice in my book for breaking through these barriers.
Yeah. And I have all of the links below so you can connect with Prema and, reach out to her if you're interested in understanding your genetic blueprint. I would totally reach out, because I think it's great. Once you understand that, I think you have greater clarity on your purpose-driven life, basically.
Like if we understand ourselves, like
exactly.
This is the vehicle you have of you. And if the more you understand how to drive this amazing vehicle that you are, the more you can and also be aware of when you're on purpose and when you're off purpose.
Yeah, no, I love it. What a great conversation. So I have 4 questions that I ask all my first time guests. And my first question to you is, who and what inspires you?
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, the divine inspires me. Nature inspires me. There's other, great teachers and beings. And in fact, while we're recording this, we're having a full moon. I just to put a full moon update on my YouTube channel. I do that at least twice a month. And it's really all about honoring your teachers. And so, I'm just my astrology teacher, my spiritual teacher, my deep intuition. So inspiration comes, I'm a mover. So I do yoga and I hike and I'm in nature. So that aliveness, whatever connects me to my soul, that really inspires me. Music. I mean, I could go on and on. What was the second question?
The second question is, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
Oh, what I wished I knew when I was younger was that I was shown through a lot of challenges early in life that the only way for me to get the information I needed was to turn inward. And I learned to trust that because there was nowhere else to turn. And I wished I would have been able to trust it more earlier. And I think that's why the essence of my work is really helping women to really, really trust themselves at every level of their being.
Yeah. I know that's something I need to work on, is trusting yourself. I think a lot of women need that. We lose sight of what our instincts and intuition are telling us because we are so bombarded with outside, circumstances.
So yeah, totally.
And my third question is, what's the essential part of your daily routine?
The essential part of my daily routine is alignment. And I teach a lot about alignment in all my programs. Now, and alignment is me being aligned with with my soul, with the divinity, so that I can trust myself. I kind of say I'm high maintenance because for me, and it looks different for everyone, I meditate, I walk and hike to the beach every day. I do yoga. I'm out in nature. I exercise. I work on clearing my beliefs. I do all these things because that's what's important to keep me aligned. And I'm very sensitive to when I'm out of alignment with my truth. And you're in alignment. It kind of feels like a tuned guitar string compared to one that's not so well tuned. And if the mind tells you don't have time to get in alignment, but if you take the time to get in alignment, everything else goes so much smoother.
Yeah, I noticed the difference in myself. I can tell when I'm out of alignment, I feel more anxious. I'm a little bit more snappy. I have racing questions in my head, and, I'm more out of alignment most of the time than in alignment. And I'm really trying to work on it for myself. And it's an everyday practice.
It's an everyday practice. You're going to be high maintenance if you're really in alignment. Just know that. So figure out the things that keep you in alignment and work them. If it's not every day, but where do you work them into your week? Where do you work them into your month?
Perfect. And then my last question to you is, best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received is actually, you already know. And what I mean by that is that, and I think that's another reason why I taught the process I just did, is that the answers are inside of you. Mm-hmm. And we do already know at least the next step for ourselves, or we know, and sometimes the next step is getting help, and that's fine too. But there's a lot of wisdom within. And if we really take the time to quiet things down, like you and I've been talking about, there's a lot we already do know.
Mm-hmm. It's, how they always say when communicating with people, you need to really listen to communicating with them. I think it's important that we also listen to ourselves. And
so much.
Yeah.
So much.
And you forget that not only do you need to listen to others, but most importantly, you need to listen to yourself and what yourself is telling you, because we ignore it.
And if you don't spend the time listening, don't and what's all the programming that's coming at you and that you're past, and just media, and there's so much jamming your circuits and things lobbying for your attention, that's why it's so important to me to just have some time where I'm just tuning in. It's very, very important. So whatever that is for you, and that's unique for each one of us, the process of that, but take the time with yourself. It's important.
I think for everyone, though, what everyone should have in common in tuning in with yourself is disconnecting from our phones.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to be a nature person. I personally would enjoy walking in nature without my cell phone, but I think everyone should just disconnect from their phone for at least 20 minutes a day. We are so connected to it.
Well, how about hours a day? I actually just got back. I was off grid for 4 days, and I just got back on grid day before yesterday. And it's like so many creative downloads, and I even practice not being on, but it was just and I just noticed how freed up my energy got.
Yeah. Yeah. I could sense your energy. You feel really calm and relaxed, and, I'm a little bit more high strung. But it was just such a fruitful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. I wish we could dive into more about this. So I would, love to have you on again. I think it's important for people to understand who they are, help inspire them and, help them believe that like what they feel inside of what they desire is probably what you're supposed to be doing, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and really go for it. So, if anyone listening has questions and wants more clarity on their life and curious about what their blueprint map is, I would totally reach out. Like I said, all the information is down below in the show notes. Do you have any last words before we go?
Yeah, and also on my website in the show notes below, or you can just go to sacredwealthcode.com. I have a free Oracle quiz where you'll get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes and this great description. You take a little quiz and it's really accurate. It's really great. And then you can learn a little bit more about yourself that way. And also my YouTube channel, which is just Prema Is. So, trust yourself. Just trust yourself. That's my thing I want to say.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening in on another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.